Welcome to the Epic Vision Zone. Today's epic female entrepreneur is Jodi Harrison-Bauer, a woman who has never allowed age to define or confine her. At 60 years young, Jodi is a two-time World Bikini Champion, founder and owner of JodiFit boutique fitness studio, and host of the Fearlessly Authentic podcast. Fueled by discipline, determination, and dedication, Jodi is the oldest woman to compete in the iconic Sports Illustrated swim issue in 2019, making global headlines and the top 60 finalists out of 10,000 women, more than half her age. A warrior against ageism and a champion for women of all ages, Jodi believes women are never too young or too old to go after their dreams, and no one has the right to slap an age label on women with an expiration date. A certified integrated nutritional expert, a nutrition, hormones, and metabolism professional, a certified personal trainer, and more. Jodi's passion is coaching women on how to live fit and healthy at any age. Her goal, transforming women's limiting beliefs into limitless power so that they can live their most fearlessly authentic life. Featured in Good Morning America, New York Post, Inside Edition, People, Maxim, and many more, Jodi's no-nonsense nutrition, motivation, and mindset approach inspires her clients to take massive action to succeed and win every day for the rest of their life. Welcome, Jodi Harrison-Bauer. How are you today?
Hi, Jane. Thank you. I'm great. I'm so happy to be here with you. And thanks for that very generous intro. I really appreciate it. I was like, wow, I've really done a lot in my life so far.
Isn't it fabulous? I love it because I go through the bio and people are like, that's really me, because that tells us we never take time to celebrate our wins. We just, go through. So I love to do it because it's really an eye opener for all our guests. I wanted to get right into the what possessed you at age 47 to step into the bodybuilding arena. I mean, that is a story that I love, but certainly something that most women have never considered. Tell us the story behind that.
Well, the story is that back in my 30s, after I had my second daughter in 93, I wanted to get into the best shape I could ever be in. I've always been in fitness, but there was something about after having two daughters, suffering through two miscarriages, I just wanted to really crush it. I knew I was going to be done having children, and I just wanted to prove it to myself. And the gym was someplace where I always felt empowered mentally and physically. So I was still married at the time and mentioned to my then husband that I wanted to compete because I would look through Oxygen magazine and I would say, one day I will be one of those girls. And I'm very, very good at focusing at my goals and seeing myself as that person I want to become. It's just a gift of mine. I don't know, maybe I'm a little psychic, but it was a place I always saw myself. So after I got divorced, it was one of the first things on my bucket list was to go after that dream. And after I had settled into divorced life, being a single mom, starting to reorganize and rebuild my self-confidence and self-esteem because it was nowhere to be found at 42 when I got divorced. I had no idea who I was, but two things I knew I was: a mom, and I knew I was very powerful in the gym. So I got certified as a trainer, as you mentioned, and then there were a few girls that came up to me while I was working out and said, you really should compete. And I thought, is this a joke? Am I on candid camera? I'm 45, 46 years old. You've got to be joking. So after 3 or 4 times, I said, you know what, universe, maybe this is something I really should go after. I'm not too old. At least I never thought about my age as a factor. Found a coach. She was a few years younger than me. I was her oldest client. And she said, yeah, let's work together. And I'll take you to that place where you want to go. What do you want to do? What do you want to do, Harrison? I wasn't Harrison-Bauer yet. What do you want to do, Harrison? And I said, I want to win. I want to become a world champion. She goes, okay, let's do it.
Wow. What a fabulous story. The
Yeah.
drive behind that too. I just think that's wonderful. And that led you to opening up eventually your studio. So as an entrepreneur or just moving into that realm. So give us a little insight into the thought process to going full on through the bodybuilding process, but then you decided to take that even further by becoming an entrepreneur.
Sure. And I just want to mention, I wasn't a bodybuilder. I was a bikini competitor. So there's a really, really big difference. So a bodybuilder usually goes on stage without any shoes on. They usually don't wear a lot of any makeup, and they just come out, they lift weights really heavy. You do see a lot of older women doing that because a lot of women who have worked out their whole lives, they don't want to get on, they don't want to put well, they do wear bikinis, but they don't want to put the heels on and do the whole hair and makeup thing. They're just there to be bodybuilders. That wasn't me. This was what I loved about bikini/fitness competitions, was that it was a balance of that femininity with the muscularity and the strength. So what it showed me and others, because my daughters were not on board with it, they were still younger, but they were like, oh mommy, you're going to become a bodybuilder, you're going to be strong, you're going to look like a man. And I said, no, strength is also very feminine, and I'm going to show you how to be strong and feminine. And that's what I loved about the bikini, is that you're still very much of a woman, showing your beauty and grace on stage. And that's what I loved about it. And that's why I could align myself with being so determined and consistent and worked so hard to reach that goal. So,
Jodi, I love that. Sorry, I just wanted to say that that is so insightful. See, I wasn't aware of the difference, so I'm glad that you brought that up. But I can completely understand why you would want to go for both, because you are very feminine. But I love that title, strong and feminine. It's powerful, because you can be graceful and strong, and that goes into a whole nother realm too, because not just physically but mentally. But we'll dig into that a little deeper. But thank you for clarifying that. So just lead us right into your studio then.
sure. So after, again, so after that, as I mentioned before I started competing, I needed a couple of years to figure out who I was, and competing helped me define who Jodi was again, because she was lost. The only thing I said that I knew I was a mom, and I felt powerful when I went to the gym. So after I won the 2 world consecutive shows at 49, during that journey, I had a lot of people asking me what I did. What am I doing to transform my body? What the heck am I doing? Could I help them? Am I too old? And I thought, well, and at the meantime, there was a 3-year stint I was selling eyeglasses. And during that time, what I realized was that most of my customers were more interested in how I stayed healthy and strong versus buying glasses to put in their dispensary in an optician's office. So I realized that this was the next step for me. So I worked at a big box gym. I was the most popular trainer there. I was the busiest trainer there. I was the oldest trainer there. I was the only woman there. And I was the busiest. So I thought, I do not want to stay here. I cannot work for anybody. I just can't. I can't go back there. My boss was then a 32-year-old young man. And I thought, I'm like way too good for this place. And not in a cocky way, but again, I saw myself reaching to higher heights. This was not going to be my end game. So my clients started leaving what they were doing at the gym because they knew I was opening up a place. And I just want to tell you this little story. My boss took me aside and he said, hey, what's going on? All of your clients are not renewing their training with you. And I said, because I'm going to be opening up my own place soon. And he said, that's what I thought. He said, I knew what you were doing. And I said, okay. And he said, why do you think anybody is going to come and train with you? you know, you are a 50-year-old woman. Why do you think anybody would want to come and train with you? And I said, watch me. They will come. If I build it, they will come. And they did. And he still follows me on social media. So he sees everything that I'm doing. So I love that story because I cannot believe that somebody had the audacity to say that to me.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's the fuel, right? You shared a little bit before about when you were going to get into kind of you wanted to become a bikini model. And I think your husband may have said something similar. And you said,
Oh,
just
yeah, he did.
watch.
Yes. Okay. Yes. When I said to him when we were married, I said, I'd really, you know, I showed him the models in Oxygen magazine and I said, I want to do this. And he said, not while you're a wife of mine. No wife of mine will ever get on stage in a
Whoa.
bikini and do something like that. And I thought, again, just watch me. Just watch me.
Yeah.
And that's what I said to my 32-year-old boss. Just watch me. Just watch me. And you know,
Yeah.
that was the fuel I used a lot when I was on stage. Just watch me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I love it. Yeah. Just the whole thing is never tell a girl she can't or watch her
no,
go.
no, because watch her go. And I hope that I've ingrained in my daughters or taught them by showing because, you know, you can't really teach others if you're not doing. You can't say, do what I say. It's do what I do. And if you're not walking the
Mhm.
walk or talking the talk, who's going to believe you? Which is why I put the content online on social media that I do. And my daughters look at me and they're like, wow, mom, like you really kick butt. Like this is crazy. And now that they're 28 and 32, they have much more perspective because they've gone through a lot of different experiences in life and in training and work. Now they're adults. And so when they think about the things that I've gone through, they they are impressed with my courage. And they tell me that a
Yes.
lot. They're, you know, it's kind of nice, but I never did it for the compliments. I did it because it's what spoke to me. And you know, kids are always watching. So I
Yes.
was hoping they were always watching.
Yeah. It's lead by example. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I know you asked me the question going into my studio. Um, I had never owned a business before, um, but I knew that this is what my passion was. So it started with a passion. I created it based on what I would want, which was a boutique feel because I like small stores. I get very overwhelmed if I could never go into IKEA and things like that. So I created an environment that was very personalized and that was comfortable and zen, but exciting. And it was boutique fitness before anybody said the word boutique fitness. And I became an entrepreneur. I became a businesswoman. And I just figured if I surround myself with smart people, they will help me along the way. Because one of the things I knew was that I didn't know everything, but I would surround myself with the people that could help me.
So important. And what a lesson. I mean, that is something that I encourage every entrepreneur to do is when that's not your area of expertise, don't burn your energy there. Find someone that you can trust and that can help you so that you can do what you do best. I mean, that is so important, a life lesson for everyone, actually. And moving on the entrepreneur realm, because I love that you stepped in and you knew exactly what you were good at and you took that upon yourself to focus on that. But often what happens is when we're in that realm of entrepreneur and the having to do it all, we forget about our own self-care. So, why is the healthy mind body connection vital to success in every aspect of our life? Not just running a business, but also running our lives, our families, because there is such a strong connection between the mind and the body.
That's a big question. Um, the mind body, I always said mind body soul connection because everything needs to be aligned in order to reach our goals. Something just as I mentioned, competing in fitness, aligned with the things that resonated with me to be strong but still feminine. So everything there needs in order to reach a goal, it starts with your mind. I think I mentioned this to you. Where your mind goes, the energy flows, or your body flows afterwards. So that connection is crucial in everything that you do, whether it's in fitness or proper nutrition or relationships. Nothing is going to succeed if the mind and the body are not aligned. And everything starts with a mind shift. And I had to make a hard decision about something in business just recently. And once I tweaked my mind to understand it from a different perspective, it all made sense. And then I was able to go forward with it and take the action.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I mean, I know that when I work out, it just clears my mind. You're able to not only clear your mind, but you also gain more energy. You connect with your, like as you say, your soul, because I'm really into yoga, but that can be very powerful. It really doesn't matter what your exercise or your movement is, as long as you're moving, right? I mean, that there's so much powerful science behind it. But I love that that is something that I feel that entrepreneurs need to remember, because we might think of it as self-care or taking time away from our business, but if we're not all there, we're not going, the business isn't going anywhere.
No, and
So
it's very, yes, and it's very important on that daily basis. And I do forget sometimes to check in with myself because I'm so
mhm,
concerned about the next project or something I'm working on. And as we sit here, to my left is my Peloton, and it stares at me every day. And sometimes I don't feel like lifting heavy. Sometimes I don't feel like getting yelled at by an instructor on the bike. And so I will go to yoga. I actually did that the other day. I said, you know what? I don't feel like pushing weights. I don't feel like having an aggressive bike ride. I need I need kindness right now. And I practiced yoga for 40 minutes, and that's what I needed. So I think it's really important at any age that we do recognize what our body needs, because then we can move on. Then we clear out all the crap in our mind, and then we can move on. And I knew that my mind was super cluttered, and I knew the other two ways. I needed to pull out my feminine side because I was feeling
right.
everything that I was doing was more masculine energy. And that's something I do struggle with, owning a bit, having the radio show. There's always that aggressive push, and I have to pull
Hmm.
back and honor my feminine side.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you. That was a wonderful answer. Because listening to our bodies and what we need, it doesn't always have to be the same. It can be, okay, well, this is what I need today, whether it's a meditation or a stretch or lifting weights, going for a run or walking the dog. It's all good, you know.
Yes, and I'm gonna
Uh,
mention one more thing, I'm
sure.
sorry. So even with the women that come to my studio, so many of them feel that they have gotta do every single class every single day, and then they'll complain
Mm,
that they're sore. These aren't my personal training clients, these are the group fitness ladies, and I'll say to them, the group classes were not created for you to work 5 days in a row. You need to take a day off.
mhm.
One of the classes we're offering may not be right for you that day. So honor yourself and do something else or rest. What people don't understand is that the rest is just as important as the workout. So it's important to honor your body and your mind to rest.
Yes, absolutely. Get that connection and listen to
Yeah.
it instead
Yeah,
of ignoring it.
exactly.
I love that you have, we spoke earlier and you talked about the top three problems that you solve for women. So let's just touch on them, because there are many issues that women come to you for, but you said that there were top three issues that normally come to the surface. And what are those?
The first one is weight loss. The second one is energy, lack of energy. And the third one is feeling weak in their body. And hopefully those were the three that I mentioned to you before, because they do change sometimes, but those are usually the three top reasons that women come to me. And I help them if they listen to me. I always tell them, I can help you reach your goal if you listen to me. So for weight loss, there's definitely a focus on healthy eating and exercise. For energy, again, it's that exercise, really pushing the exercise to rev up their metabolism and give them that energy. And then to feel strong in their body, depending on where they are in life and what their goal is and what that means to them, because I really need to ask them, what does feeling strong in your body feel like and look like? And with the two other ones too, especially the weight loss and feeling strong in your body, you know, what I might think they want to look like or feel like is different than what they want. So I need to get into their head to figure out what is it? Where do you see yourself? Or is there somebody you know, or even a celebrity that you see that you say, I'd like to look like, you know, Jennifer Aniston or whoever it is. So those are the three top that I usually deal with for the last 12 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are certainly the ones that we talked on, and those are the ones that you said that for a woman, especially entrepreneurs, again, because they want to push through to success and be at peak performance. So I when we were talking, we felt that those were the three areas that not only women come to you for, but are areas in which once you reach those goals or you're on your way to it, it does help in peak performance. It does help in success, correct? Because you get a whole, not like we said, not just a body change, but you get a mind shift and you get bring in that energy.
Right. So what happens with a typical woman that comes to me for, let's just choose weight loss? They're not feeling great in their body. Let's just say a successful businesswoman. She's doing great at work, but she's let her body go and she feels bad about herself. She kicks ass at work, but she feels ashamed. She feels disappointed in herself. She's a woman who is used to succeeding at everything she's doing, but this seems like a failure to her. It's my job, again, to sit down with her and figure out what it is that is important to her, how she wants to look, how she wants to feel. Is she willing to do the work to get there? Because if she's not willing to do the work to get there, I can talk until the cows come home. Nothing is going to happen. And I do have a lot of women that come into me and cry and talk about how they want to change in their life. And I'm very empathetic. I want to change them. But as I said a little while ago, if I tell them very honestly, if you're not willing to listen to me, because I do have the tools to help you, I am tough, but I am nurturing, then we can get you there. But if you're not going to stay consistent, if you're not going to stay committed, then nothing will work. And I usually use the example. Would you ever get up in front of thousands of people to do a presentation unprepared? And of course, the answer is no. Then why would you start your day unprepared without having your food there, not knowing when you're going to work out, whether it's with me or you're doing it on your own? You need to wake up every single morning or go to bed that night and know exactly, I have my meals ready to go. I don't have to think about where my next meal is coming from. I know I'm going to be working out from 12 to 1 and I'm going to shut my phone off and walk away from it because that's important to me. And that's what Jodi said. And then I'm going to keep a journal of my food so I know where I started, what I'm doing, and where I want to end up. Because without those things, they won't succeed. Just like if they got up in front of 1,000 people to do a presentation were unprepared, they would fail, right? Same thing. I'm tough. I have a very low tolerance for excuses when somebody comes to me and wants to reach their goal. Okay, do you want to do it or not? Let's do it. Let's go for it.
Right. because the wannabes, it's like, well, if you're not committed, why would you expect me to be committed? And the accountability. But I love that analogy or the metaphor of going up on stage and being unprepared. Why don't you look at your life that way? Because it's more important than anything. It's your one life, your one time to be here. And why not make it a great one? Oh my gosh, that is such a great analogy. It completely changed the mind shift as to why you need to look at your life as something that matters, basically, because everything we do in our bodies is unconscious. Like the body breathes for us. The body, it will move when we ask it to move without even thinking, unless of course you have some sort of a disease or a disability. But blinking our eyes, speaking, whatever, we don't think about it, but we need to think about it. We need to be present for it, because that is so important. Oh, I love it, Jodi. That was such an aha moment for me. I was like, wow, you're absolutely right. That was
And
great.
thank you. And there are a lot of women that when we're halfway through, let's just say 12 weeks, and we're at the 6-week point, and I don't see a change in their behavior, it's time to sit down and say, what's going on? Here's the goal that we agreed upon. How do you feel you're doing? And I just shut up, which is very hard for me sometimes because I know why they're not getting there. Of course I know, because I'm the expert, but I ask them because I need for them to dig deep. And you know what's interesting, Jane, is that some of them will say, I'm kind of okay where I am right now. And I say, okay, well, look what you just discovered. You're okay with where you are. Then that is the woman you want to be. If you're comfortable, if you're truly comfortable with where you are, the progress that you've made in 6 weeks, and you really don't want to push any harder, you really don't want to make changes in your food or your exercise or your sleep or your hydration or your supplements or all the other things that we're talking about, and you are good being you, even though we might have said we need to lose a few inches, we need to reduce your body fat, your BMI, a few more pounds. I love that. Friggin' own it. Friggin' own it. This is where we decided you were going to be, but I am so cool with you being where you are because all I want you to do is love yourself again. You came to me not digging yourself. Now you're digging yourself again. Go. I'm great. Let's just shift the goal and let's keep going forward.
I love that integrity. That is, I said to Jodi earlier, her integrity is so vital, but it's so expressive in her business because, there are a lot of individuals, coaches, trainers, whatever you want to call, that will push people further than when they're happy. And if they're happy, that's the goal. That's what you said. You dig it, great, rock it, girl. Just you own it. And it doesn't matter if we didn't get to that, size 2 or whatever, but you're happy. And that's the outcome. That's the one, is love your life. So I love that. Well, speaking of going further into what it is that we need to do and take care of ourselves, the gut, we mentioned, the gut is so important, and we've learned a lot about the gut in the last 10 years. Science has taken us way further than we even knew how important it was. So give us some ideas why that is so important, and maybe just a few tips in diet that we could actually take away for helping ourselves in that area.
It's the gut health is everything. And without even realizing that I have been talking about the gut health for all of these years, by eliminating certain foods in our diet, by making sure that we do not ingest lots of toxins, such as the pesticides that are sprayed on our foods, that are in dairy. People don't even realize the pesticides and the hormones. Well, I think people are more realizing what's in the dairy products also, that those things make us sick. And they put toxins into our body, which causes our belly to be bloated, which causes disease. And because toxins cause disease. And everything starts from what we eat. And that everything starts from there. So that gut health, um, staying away from sugar, reducing or eliminating dairy, drinking enough water, getting your greens, and eating foods that are high in protein, are all good for you and help with your gut health. It's it's pretty simple, but it takes some due diligence to change the way you're eating. It all comes from the foods that we eat. And even myself, it's evolved along the way. I've gone a little bit vegetarian, getting away a little bit from the animal proteins that I'm eating. Uh, and just because my goals have changed. But if your gut feels good and it's running well, then everything else in your body feels so much better. So think about somebody that's dealing with IBS. And a lot of that has to do with stress and with the foods that they're eating. So, how do we reduce our stress levels? We exercise, we meditate, we become mindful about the food we're eating. We're not shoving food in our mouth, and when we are shoving food in our mouth, it's the right kinds of food in the right portions for you. So all of those things combined help to make your gut healthier. And I've seen it happen with my husband. He had some gut issues when we first met 6 years ago, and I started changing his diet and slowing him down a little bit. Instead of eating a cow for dinner, I said, try to cut up that cow throughout the day to eat. And so his, trying to reduce some of the coffee he drinks, all of those things were causing him to feel sick and spending a lot of time. I'm sure he's not happy that I'm talking about it right now, spending less time in the bathroom because we don't want to spend time in the bathroom. So, and being regular every single day, obviously is very important. That comes from gut health. And little side story, when I was a little girl, every single day at dinner time, my mom would ask us every single day who went to the bathroom. And we would raise it. I did, I did, I didn't. And she would give us a tablespoon of mineral oil that did the job, So that's the very long answer to gut health. That's the most simple answer. Sorry, it was such a long answer, but it really comes down to stress levels, eating the right food, exercising. Those three things are key. And a lot of people are very stressed and anxious these days.
Right. Definitely. Oh my gosh, that's something that's way up there. But I do love your couple of things. Your story is fabulous because that was a thing of the days before. And a lot of parents did that. My parents, I didn't get the mineral oil, thank goodness, but I know some friends that did. And, but we all, who went to the bathroom today, it was like a regular thing. And it's funny because here's a little story on our side. When our family gets together, we always end up bathroom talking. And it's like, what's the deal with that? And any of those who married into the family, they just go, oh yeah, here we go with the bathroom talk. It's just like, if it doesn't sit with you, well, you just better get used to it because we always end up talking about it.
It's so funny. It's a very natural, it's just a natural thing. And it's actually a question I ask my clients. How often do you poop? And because if you're not
it's none of your business.
Right. But if they feel crappy, it's probably for that reason, and we have to talk about it.
Crap.
They're full of crap. It's exactly what it is. And if you can't, it's got to come out. It's waste. It's got to get out of there. So eating foods that will help eliminate that waste, in a gentle way is going to make you feel healthy. And interesting, I was just finishing an article for a magazine, and one of the things they asked me was, what are one of your life quotes? And one of it was to trust my gut instincts. And I realized then that following my gut has so much to do with life and fitness, that if I feel good inside, I'm going to live healthier, feeling freer because I'm not in pain in my body, and my body is functioning like a fine oiled machine. And your gut always steers you in the right direction. So if my gut doesn't feel good physically, I'm not going to be able to think about anything else. And if I trust my gut, I'm not allowing my head to play games with my decisions that I need to make. So I think that gut instinct has two interesting meanings to it for me.
Oh, no, it absolutely does. There's a play on the words there, but gut instinct, I mean, and you're absolutely right. When you were saying about what you eat in your diet, I thought one good thing that people could do is maybe just go through their fridge and see what it is that they have that, like you said, milk is, dairy products are so bad because of all of the toxins in there, et cetera, et cetera. And there's so many options today, that we can use outside of dairy. So the excuses are just that, they're excuses. And yeah, there's a change and a shift in mindset. And when you said don't eat the whole cow at one sitting, that's a mind shift thing. But I often say that about taking a chunk out of your business. Don't try to eat the whole cow all at once, just take a bite at a time, because then you get overwhelmed. So in the same sense, if you eat all that beef all at once, your body gets overwhelmed. So yeah, it really is interesting. That is the toxins we forget that are in the food today. So our gut really is our signal. It's there to help us, and
It
we
is,
we
and
need to
the
take
and
care.
it's true, and the toxins are in the water, they're in the air, and not to be an alarmist or anything like that, but it's something to be aware of. Again, being mindful of how your body is feeling, always being
Sure.
mindful about. Now there's some people that take it a little bit farther, and if this hurts or that hurts, it's like, calm down. All right, but just do an overall feel, for like a scan. How do you feel today? What are you noticing differently? And even with my daughters, if they complain like, oh, I have a headache this day, or it was after they got vaccinated or something like that, I'll say to them, write down how many days you had a headache. Or for my clients, if you had a stomach ache, or you're doing this, or you feel great, write it down so you can go back and remember that this is how you
Mm.
felt. And then you could look back at, what did you do? What were you doing when you felt so good? You were eating more often. You were exercising regularly. You were meditating. You were going to sleep earlier. You were hydrating more. Oh, then let's go back and do that, because that's when you felt great.
Right. I love that. We don't celebrate the wins. There it is
Mm.
again. We think, oh,
Yes.
that was great. I felt great today. But you never stop to think, what did I do yesterday to make me feel this good today? Wow. Because usually it's write down what you've been eating that you shouldn't be eating. But this is like write down what you've been eating and doing to make you feel good. Great point. I love it. Well, let's move on to your definition of feminine confidence. What does that mean to you? And age with confidence.
Oh, it's it's really about embracing, for me, embracing who I am. That being a single mom since I was 42 and I'm now 60 was difficult for me. Their dad was around, so it wasn't like I just had them all by myself, but I had to amp up. I'm very in touch with my feminine and masculine energy, as you can tell. I had to really amp up my masculine energy because I was in that fight or flight zone, and I knew that I needed to amp up that masculine energy. And after a couple of years, I needed to pull it back because it was making me too stressed out, and I needed to feel like a girl again. And that's just personally how I felt. So embracing that feminine strength, once I found that balance again, because working out at the gym, getting divorced, trying to figure out who I was, rebuilding all of the things, my self-confidence and my self-esteem, what I wanted to do with my life, I knew that I am a very feminine girl, but I had that strength, and it was okay to combine the two by being strong, but still being a girl and knowing what I needed in my life to feel feminine and strong. And that was always the point, to show my daughters what it was. That doesn't mean that you're a damsel in distress. That means that I've got it, but I'm independent, I'm strong, but I'm still a woman. And I think so many women and men get confused about, how could I be strong but still be feminine? And that's what I hope to show them, that you can age by being strong, feminine, and confident. And when you feel confident in your body and in your mind, because that confidence you start getting, you do the mind shift, you do the work, you become confident in your body, and then you are present in who you are, and you could own the fact that you are a woman, yet you stand in your strong power, and you just own it, and you're strong about it. And that's really how I feel, and how I want every woman that I work with to feel, because so many of the women I work with at different ages, from 25 to over 65 to 70, they all struggle with, I've got to do this, and I've got to do that, and I've got to do that. And it brings you back to the self-care. Once you go back and you say, well, what does Jane need? What does Jodi need? Then that's when you're like embracing your femininity. I'm like, yeah, I'm taking care of myself, and this feels really good.
Yeah, that's the fearlessly authentic, right?
Yes, because
go ahead.
it's the person I always wanted to be, that I wasn't when I was still married. I wasn't living fearlessly authentic. I was living the life that everybody thought I should live. And the thing that made me feel confined and suffocated is that I had outgrown the girl that I was at 24, who was now married for almost 17 years, that I wasn't her anymore. I didn't want to be her anymore. I wanted to live larger, bigger. I wanted to create things, and I wanted to show my daughters what a strong feminine woman is and can be. And now I take risks all the time. I am fearless, and I really like who I am. So I can be my true self and be that fearlessly authentic person, because I was always that scaredy cat. So yes, it's really a lovely thing, and it's what I hope to help every woman that I work with to get to that point where they do feel fearlessly authentic.
Right. That's the key right there for women to understand that it's not, Jodi encompasses the whole. It's not just the working out. It's not just the diet. It's not just the mindset, but it's the whole, because we are a whole body. A whole being is more like it. And when you're fearlessly authentic, your whole being, you are walking into your whole being.
You're,
You're owning it. You're owning
you're
your whole being.
Exactly. You're standing in your truth. You're owning who you are. That was the platform I used when I competed for to be in the Sports Illustrated Swim, is that I had the platform to include women over 55 in the swim issue, because we all need to, I was standing in my truth. I was honoring who I was when I said that. And that was me. And then soon after, I created the podcast to be fearlessly authentic. And that brings me back to something when I was raising my daughters and they were younger, and my daughter was about 15 or 16 years old, and she was going to spend the night, I'll tell you the story really fast, spending the night at a friend's house. And so she's 32. So she was about 15 or 16. So it was a long time ago. And I said, where are you? And she said, I'm at so-and-so's house. And I said, nice try. Now try calling me from a landline. And she said, I am calling you from a landline. I said, I'm not stupid. Call me from a landline so I know where you are. Long story short, the next day she comes home. She calls me from a landline. Next day she comes home and she said, my friends used to think you were really cool. Now they don't think you're cool. You're not a cool mom anymore. And I looked at her, and this was probably 2 or 3 years after I was divorced. And I looked at her and I said, I don't care if your friends think I'm cool. My job is to be your parent. So I don't care. And you know what, Jane? That was the first time in a long time that I had stood in my truth with my daughters, because my ex-husband was more of the disciplinarian and I wasn't. That was a big stand for me. I'll never forget that. That was life-changing for me, even though she was hating me, but I didn't care because, you I was a parent first. I didn't care about being her friend.
Wow, that's a great story, Jodi. I love that. That was the aha for you.
It
It
was.
was because you were not living your truth back then, giving into, or like you said, your husband was a disciplinarian. But that is so powerful. And I'm sure there's a lot of parents, women, moms especially, that go through the same thing, because you kind of lose your identity when you have children. Everything gets wrapped up in the wife, the kids, a lot of it, they have to work, a lot of them, and you're just on a treadmill and you forget who you are, because frankly, you don't have time. You don't give yourself that time, that space, that self-care, that reflection. But if we do give ourselves that, we become the better individual, the better mom, the better parent, the better wife, the better entrepreneur, the higher performing being, basically, because that's when we step into our full human potential. So it's so vital what you do. Your work is so important, and it's really just. I love the fact that your integrity is there, but also that you're dealing with the whole. It's because I know that a lot of people will come to you because they want to lose weight or they want to get in shape. But like you said, once you get into it, you're asking much deeper questions, because there is so much more to unraveling that weight issue. How did they get there in the first place? What is it that they don't like about themselves, et cetera, et cetera. So my question to you, my question here as we come to a wrap, is what can we start to do today to help us boldly go where no woman has gone before?
Well, I think the first thing to do is evaluate what is important to you. How you want to, where you see I ask a lot of my clients to do this. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? If that's too far for you, where do you see yourself in 2 years? And to boldly be really, really honest with yourself. How, where do you see yourself in 2 to 5 years? How are you going to get there? And what can we do to make you feel the strongest way possible? How could we move you from where you are to where you are to where you go? And that's my job, to listen to them and help them get there, whether it's for all the reasons we talked about, but that's going to help them in their business as a parent. That it starts with the way you feel in your body, that gut health, everything starts there. So to boldly go where no other woman has gone, the sky is the limit. Like, just tell me, what do you want to do? And if you have the skills to go there, you can go there. I don't want to be an astronaut. I don't have the skills to be an astronaut. I don't want to be a doctor. Go, but take the skills, be aware of the skills that you have, and what can you do to blow that up? And whatever I can do as a trainer, as a coach, I'm going to help you become as confident as you can possibly be in your mind and your body. And then it's just go fly. I see it all the time. It changes everything in a person's professional life and in their personal life, with their husbands, sex life, intimacy. It changes everything. But you have to first figure out where you want to go, because we need a little bit of a blueprint. I don't know where I'm going to take you if you don't know. So we need to have that discussion first, and then I'll help you to get there. But anything's possible, anything at any age, anything.
Right. I love it. That's the key right there. At any age, there's so many individuals that are starting businesses today, women entrepreneurs, 60s, 70s. I've even known an 80-year-old, and it's like, good for you. What says that when you're older, you just sit up, put your feet up, and watch the world go by? I mean, life isn't over at 50, 60, 70. I mean, we've got the life in us. Let's put it to work. I mean, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that let's go and live our life. Whether if you like to play golf all day long, we'll do that. I think it might get a little boring, but
Right.
you know,
Sometimes I wish I could just put my feet up and like eat bonbons and watch TV, but that's not how I was created. And for some women, and I do know a lot of women that are fine with that life. And it's like if you're fine with who you are and you're really being honest with yourself, you're standing in your truth and you're owning who you are, then rock it out, girlfriend. But if you really want to do something different, then and you want some help, then I can help you get there. But it's really it so much comes down to, Jane, being honest with yourself, knowing where you want to go, and not listening to what other people think you should do, which is what I did for so much of my life. And now I'm doing what
yes,
I love to do, and hopefully
I
making a
love it.
decision, and you know, educating people, empowering them with that, and then inspiring them so they can go and live that fearlessly authentic life.
Yes, absolutely. I love it, Jody. Empowering women to live their fearlessly authentic life. So powerful. Now, because we're on the Epic Vision Zone, I have one last question for you. And that is, if your life were an epic story, what would the title be?
You know, I've been thinking about that question, and I would say the word strength keeps coming into my mind. The title would be Strength and Beauty,
Mm,
because
strength and beauty.
strength and beauty, it's, I guess, the reason why I like pink, because it's that beauty, that femininity, but yet there's also, even in my fearlessly authentic thing, I've got the red with the pink. So the red is that strength, the pink is the femininity. So um, there's always the word strength in there. It could just be
Yeah.
strength.
Yeah.
It's I wish I could come up with something more creative. I was trying to think of something more creative, but it really is. It comes down to strength, feeling strong, and
Right.
feminine.
Well, that's a great title. I mean, that's exactly where you're going. It's strength, whether it's in life, whether it's in your goals, whether it's in your mindset. It's strength. So I love it. Now, did you want to share with our audience your offer?
Oh yes, it is 20% off any personal training via Zoom that I can do for them, because I that's the place where I want to start. It's a free consultation, so 30 minutes to consult, and 20% off personal training. So
Mm,
I would love I would love that, because everybody needs that. A
yes.
lot of people don't think they need it. I know that I have a lot of people in my group fitness class that are starting to come over to the other side, and literally and figuratively, because they're in two different rooms, to do the personal training, because that's where they're really held accountable. So I would love to work with anybody who is looking to start something new because they want to make change in their life.
Right. Right. That is so generous, and the consultation as well, because that's the unpacking. I mean, you just don't know where that could lead. And there's so many individuals that don't know what they need. They just have this or that, or they know this is what they want to accomplish. So we'll be sure to have all of that information on the summit directory. So be sure to go to Jodi Harrison-Bauer's uh, information and her her bio on the Summit directory, where you'll find the links for all of her information, including her website and her podcast. And thanks again so much, Jodi, for joining us. My gosh, it's been a great interview. I love chatting with you. Jodi and I have had many telephone conversations. I think if we lived close by, we'd be at each other's homes every day.
I think so
talking
too.
and talking. So much great energy between us. And be sure to follow me on Instagram at Jane Applegath, and check out how you can become an epic entrepreneur at janeapplegath.com. This is the Epic Vision Zone, transforming your dreams into epic success. Congratulations for signing up for the Female Entrepreneur Revolution. We're bringing you some of the most exciting female entrepreneurs from around the globe to share with you their knowledge, their ideas, their inspiration, and more importantly, their resources to elevate you to prosperity and freedom. And by being here, you're on the cusp of something great, your epic future. I'm Jane Applegath, founder of the Epic Vision Zone and producer of the Female Entrepreneur Revolution. Be sure to get your VIP pass and join me after the summit on June 16th for a very special VIP coaching session where we'll have hot seating, summit Q&A, and a special guest appearance by one of our speakers just for you, where we'll ignite your vision, up-level your confidence, and set you on the path to your dreams' epic success. This is your opportunity calling. It's time to take action. Get your VIP pass now. I can't wait to see you on the other side.